Hey everyone, welcome to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's Friday, it's September 9th. We have 15 baseball games tonight. Got a little taste of football on Thursday night, but it's time to get right back to baseball. You know, this is what we're here for. We're here to talk baseball, and I'm bringing in the baseball guy. How you doing, Derek?
I'm doing good. Not super excited about this football stuff encroaching on my sport, but otherwise I'm good.
Yeah, you know, baseball season for you, and I think Cheese is the same way. Baseball's over. You guys kind of just start getting ready for the next season.
That's exactly what I do pretty much. I'll have to play some football for fun, but I will definitely start gearing up for baseball probably by the middle of October.
Yeah, you got to play some contests. You know, you'll go out and watch football with friends or something. You got to have a couple, couple little few dollar sweats, right?
You got to have a sweat. I mean, the baseball off season is too long not to have something.
Well, I think that's an aspect that people just forget about when they're talking fantasy and in general, and it's fun. Like, it's just fun. Sometimes it's just fun to follow along.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's, we do this, we try to make money, we, analyze it from every possible angle, but at the end of the day, it's fun. That's the main point of it, I think.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, sometimes, we're just way wrong. And everything can back up exactly what we're saying, and we could just be wrong. And yesterday was one of those things where, Washington stack was just on paper far and away the best stack, and, it just didn't happen. So that's why we're back here on this Friday edition. We're here to talk about these 15 games, and we're here to talk about our sponsor, FantasyDraft.com. If you guys haven't checked out Fantasy Draft, they have a ton of NFL contests up. You can win tickets into the NFL contest with baseball tonight. So let me and Derek help you win tickets into football for Sunday. If you haven't checked them out, use promo code GRINDERS. That way you guys get incentives here at Roto Grinders for free for a year for Fantasy Draft, and you get a 100% deposit bonus up to $600. First game we're going to talk about, Philadelphia and Washington. We go right back to these Nationals. We have Tanner Roark and Jake Thompson. I'm guessing you don't have a lot of interest in either one of these pitchers.
No, I would have pretty minimal interest in these guys. I think Roark is obviously the more interesting of the two, just because the Phillies are bad. The Phillies are a bad offense. So I can definitely see Roark as a GPP option, but he's not really a guy that I'd consider for cash games.
He's a guy that I have a lot of interest if Philly comes out with like a really right-handed heavy lineup. Like if Joseph's in there instead of Howard, and we get a lot of righties, because he just gets a lot of soft contact to righties, and I just don't see him getting beat up by the right-handed bats.
Yeah, that would make him a lot more appealing of an option. I'd like him more if he was a little bit cheaper for 9.3 on DraftKings. He's just, I don't know, it's a little too much, and I want to actually pay for Tanner Roark. 1,800 on draft, like it's just too high, I think.
Yeah, if we're in that 15.7.5 range, I think me and you both would have more interest.
Yeah.
Jake Thompson, we're not going there.
No, I have Jake Thompson ranked as the worst pitcher of the day, so I want nothing to do with him.
Yeah, small sample sizes this season with Thompson, but he's really struggled, and Washington let everybody down last night, so I feel like this is a good spot to just load him back up and, hope for the best.
I mean, once again, they are, if not the top offense of the night, they're definitely top two. And so, people love their recency bias in DFS. So if people are jumping off Washington bats tonight, you should be on them because they're a great play again.
Philly bats, nothing really piques my interest. I don't ever hate Ryan Howard as a one-off tournament play. He has a lot of power. It's just I don't even know if this is necessarily the spot that I'm going to pull out of Howard.
Yeah, I was all over Howard yesterday, and people were kind of laughing at me. But I can definitely see him again today as a tournament guy. Roark's more than a bit stronger of a pitcher than Cole was, but I can still see Howard having some power upside here. This is good hitting conditions. It's a hot game. I think we have a little bit of wind blowing out again. Yeah, it's blowing out to left field instead of right field. But yeah, I can see Howard with some power upside.
Yeah, you say hot. Only game I think that's in the 90s. I think Houston and Miami, but I'm expecting both the roofs to be closed there.
Yeah, those roofs will definitely both be closed. I think Arizona is about 100. That's going to be closed at that temperature. So Washington becomes top of the board.
Yeah, they don't roof open in Arizona. That's not even a real thing, is it?
I don't know, like towards the middle of the year, we'd have like some of these like 92, 93-degree days, like in July, and the roof would be open for some reason. And I didn't quite understand why. But it hasn't been open in, I don't know, at least a month or two.
Yeah, dry heat out there. Cincy at Pittsburgh, Tim Adelman, Stephen Brault. Any interest in either one of these guys?
No, no, I don't think either of these guys are in play today. Adelman in particular is just awful. Brault I can see. He's still really cheap, right? Like
Um,
yeah, he's 4,000 on DraftKings, about 8 on draft. So I can see him in a GPP to save some money because this Reds offense really isn't a very good one. They take a park hit. So I can see him as just like a really cheap flyer in a GPP, but definitely not Adelman.
yeah, Adelman, he's been really bad against lefties in a small sample size, and his xFIP is almost 3 runs higher than his ERA against righties this season. That just screams regression.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how bad Thompson is. Adelman's just as bad. These are the 2 worst pitchers on the slate. And so, I mean, these are guys that you pick on. These aren't guys that you play.
All right, let's talk Cincinnati first here. Any Cincinnati bats outside of Joey Votto that you're interested in?
It's going to be Votto, and I think that's going to be about the extent of it because sometimes you can play a guy like Peraza or someone like that because it's a really favorable matchup to run on. And while the catchers for Pittsburgh are easy to run on, Brault really isn't. So I don't think it's the best kind of matchup for those types of guys. I think it's Votto. I think it's Duvall. But that's probably all I would have interest in Cincinnati.
Yeah, looking at the Pittsburgh side of things, it's so tough to guess what the lineup looks like night in and night out. Marte dealing with a back injury right now. We don't know if he's going to be in the lineup. We don't know if it's going to be Joyce or if it's going to be Bell. It's so hard to figure out the Pittsburgh lineup before lock.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those teams where you can have some semblance of a guess. Like there's some constants. Like McCutchen's going to be hitting 2 or 3, but yeah, it's anyone's guess about guys like Joyce and Bell and Marte now.
You know who I've been playing over the last couple of days is Young Ho Kong. Like he's been hitting the ball really hard, and that's kind of what he's always profiled as a really guy that hits the ball hard. And I know you don't love hot streaks, but a guy that's hitting the ball hard and gets a favorable matchup, I have a lot of interest there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of him in general. I like his power. I have trouble with him in that park because it's so tough on righty power hitters. And especially today, like he's so expensive. He's 96 on draft. He's 49 on DraftKings. It's more than I'd want to pay for going.
Yeah, the DK algorithm knows all. Play him on FanDuel at 3,300. That's all I'm saying.
I could get behind him a lot easier at 3,300 on FanDuel.
Any other Pirates bats that you like here before we move on?
I mean, McCutchen is, the past few days he's been really cheap, and it's the same thing again today. He's 3,900 on DraftKings. He's 78 on Fantasy Draft. Like that's too cheap for a guy like McCutchen, especially because I mean he kind of he had those issues earlier in the year where I guess it was a finger issue that he was dealing with, and he wasn't hitting well, but he's been good lately. So I don't know. I like McCutchen a lot today. I think there's tons of value with him.
I can definitely get behind McCutchen at his price. Like under 8K on draft, I think he's a really solid cash game play. I think I can definitely get behind that.
Yeah, and then Bell, I mean, it's tough not having the outfield eligibility anymore, but on Fantasy Draft, that's less of a concern. So I could see him being an option.
Yeah, if he's in the lineup at 6,300, he's another guy that I would definitely turn to here. I can get behind both those guys. And let's go to Yankee Stadium. We got the Rays, Michael Pineda against Blake Snell. 2 kind of strikeout upside guys. Any interest here?
Yeah, I think both guys have GPP appeal for sure. Like there's strikeout upside for both of them. I prefer Pineda to Snell because I think he's a better pitcher, and I think he profiles better. Like the Rays offense is weaker. I think there's some more strikeouts in it. So Pineda is a guy I have quite a bit of interest in actually. After you get past like the true aces, like the Jose Fernandez types today, Pineda would be probably my next choice. And at this price, he's a guy that I'm going to have very strong interest in as an SP2 in cash games.
Yeah, I love the price tag. That's kind of. I'm never a Pineda fan. I just don't believe all this Pineda hype. He's a guy that leaves like 3 or 4 balls right over the middle of the plate throughout the game. And like, it all depends on what the team does with them that he's facing. And the good thing here is like Brad Miller dealing with like I think it was an elbow, right? That he left the game early. So if he's out, you're going to see this lineup even weaker with Alexi Ramirez at shortstop.
Yes, which would be a very good thing for Pineda.
Yeah, I definitely like the Pineda call. I don't mind Snell. I was playing lefties against the Yankees a lot, and then they called up Sanchez and they called up Judge, and Didi actually hits left-handed pitching really well too, and he's a guy that I don't see a lot of people using.
Yeah, so I'm completely with you. I used to love lefties against the Yankees, but it's not the same matchup it was even a month ago with the additions of those guys. So while that adds some more strikeouts to the lineup, it also makes it a lot more dangerous, especially in this park.
Yeah, McCann and Gary Sanchez, the only 2 guys in this lineup with a strikeout rate over 20% against lefties. So I think Snell's a little limited here. Bats in this game, I really don't love anything.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot here in terms of cash game appeal. You could, I don't know, like in a GPP, sure, a guy like Sanchez is going to have power upside against a lefty, but neither of these guys are really players that you want to pick on, and I don't see a whole lot of prices that are even all that appealing to just consider from a value perspective.
On FanDuel, where you have to have a shortstop, or DraftKings, where you have to have a shortstop, I really don't mind Didi. He's hitting left-handed pitching really well this season. Not a lot of power, and he's not going to give you a lot of power, but average 320 and 363 on base percentage. I think that's really solid here at shortstop. What's pretty weak tonight.
Yeah, I need to see a little bigger sample usually to believe that a lefty can hit a lefty like that. I know he's been good against them this year. If there's one guy from this game that I would have potential interest in, if only as a GPP guy, it might be Corey Dickerson, just because he's a lefty with big power, and this is such a good park for lefty power. And like you said, Pineda can leave one out over the plate. So he seems well priced and with some good upside here.
Pineda definitely leaves a couple of pitches over the plate. Like I said, that dictates his start. Boston at Toronto, Rick Porcello, Marco Estrada, 2 really decent pitchers here in Rogers Center. What's your thoughts?
I want no part of either of these guys.
Okay.
I think Porcello is perpetually overpriced on DraftKings and Fantasy Draft, and I think today he's one of the weaker options on the slate.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, he threw a curveball at me there. I was like, all right, well, he's going to say his price is high, but he's not going to really pick on him. And then you were like, his price is high, and I think he's really bad on this slate. So you threw me a curveball. What's your thoughts on Marco Estrada here against the Red Sox?
I mean, the price is appealing for Estrada, but the Red Sox are such a dangerous offense, and this is a good hitter's park that while the price is tempting to me, I really can't see it. It's not a team that strikes out a lot. It's not a good pitching environment. Like I like Estrada more than most people do, but I don't like him today.
Yeah, his issue is he's a fly ball pitcher to lefties, and David Ortiz is going to take him deep.
I think there's a very good chance of that happening.
Yeah, there's this thing that I like to look at, and so bats in this game are so weird. Like, outside is like stacking. Like I like E5. I like Joey bats, Donaldson. But outside of stacking, I don't think I'm going to try to play one-offs from either one of these teams.
See, I'm tempted to do one-offs from Toronto. I have them projected as a top 4 or 5 offense on the whole day. And because Porcello is so high priced, you're getting discounts on some of these guys. So
okay.
I mean, Donaldson's 4.5 on DraftKings, Batista's 4,000, Encarnacion is under 4. I'm really tempted by Devin Travis, though. If he's leading off, he is 3,300 on DraftKings, and he is, what's the fantasy draft price? 6,600 on Fantasy Draft. That seems like a really cheap price for a leadoff second baseman in a matchup that I think is pretty good.
Yeah, E5 was a guy that I had written down for one of the fantasy draft plays. Each day I give out guys under 8K, 3 guys, and E5, 13 for 34 with 3 home runs and 5 doubles. Little BVP to back up your Toronto Blue Jays here. They all have really solid BVP against Porcello.
Well, all the better then.
Except for Saunders. He's 0 for 13. Small
That's
sample size, but
yeah, over 13 is usually not good.
yeah, that's
But
not
yeah,
good.
yeah, I don't get why Porcello is still so high priced, even against a team like the Jays. Like, I get there's some strikeouts here, but I mean, Porcello's an above average pitcher. He's not this ace. So
But
I don't
he's
know.
but he's winning. Like, I'm a Red Sox fan, so yeah. Anyway,
He's
like
winning though because the Red Sox are giving him tons of runs. That
I
has
don't disagree, but he's still winning. Like, look at his game logs. When's the last time he had a game under 30 FanDuel points? June 23rd. Like, that's a month and a half.
yeah, I mean, I see some regression. I don't see him being this good of a pitcher, and so I'm fine picking on him with some Jays today.
Yeah, I don't mind Porcello, but I'm not gonna pitch him in Toronto. It's just that makes sense. I would hope to everybody that we don't want pitchers in Toronto.
No, definitely not.
Dodgers, Marlins, Jose Fernandez, Clayton Kershaw. Oh, buddy.
Yeah, this one's interesting. This one's very interesting. So
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, what are we projecting here for Kershaw as far as pitches? Like, yeah.
So Kershaw threw 30-something pitches in a rehab outing. I forget what happened. He had to leave for some reason. He wound up throwing a few more in a bullpen session right afterwards. So he threw 50. They say today he's gonna, have a fairly restrictive pitch count. I'm guessing we're going to see maybe 70 pitches out of him, 75 if they want to push him, and that's it.
Yeah, I think like the thing here is like this is going to probably be like a rehab start for him. The Dodgers are still in the playoff hunt, and they need Kershaw down the stretch. They're not going to push him here.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to push him either. And so while if he was going to have a full workload, he's the easy top play against this Miami offense. He's not a cash game option at this price given his restrictions. But what do you think about him as a GPP guy? Because no one's going to want to pay this price for him, knowing he's only going to throw 70 pitches maybe, or 80 at the absolute max. But it's such a good matchup that I'd be curious what his ownership's going to be, because even if he only throws 5 innings, they could be 5 dominant innings.
Yeah, my issue you're paying so much for him, and if we get a definitive pitch count before the game, which I doubt we will, that would make it a little easier. But so on FanDuel, you can't play Kershaw because you have Fernandez on the other side, right? And you just don't think Kershaw is going to go deep. And then on DraftKings, you're paying this price tag for Kershaw, and him limiting his innings, it seems less than ideal for 13,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's super less than ideal, but I wonder if that price is the reason why he's going to be super low owned, and maybe a good way to kind of, be different.
No, and I love doing that, and I think that with 70 to 80 pitches, there's no reason he can't go 5 innings, strike out 6 to 7 guys, and not give up any runs.
Yeah, I mean, and if that's what he does, if he goes 5 shutout innings, I mean, it's possible he puts up 8 or 9 strikeouts in those innings. Then you have something. It's not the probability play. It's not like you're going to pay for it in cash games, but it's an option that's on the table.
What's your thoughts here on Fernandez taking on a Dodgers team that has been good?
He's not a cash game option for me today. He's up there. He's one of the best options of the day. But the Dodgers are very left-handed. This is a bit of a park boost for them. And having Kershaw on the other side is going to kill his win chances. So he's just, kind of in that weird, awkward area.
Yeah, I feel like he's a tournament play too. I feel like you can do a lot better in cash games.
Yeah, especially at that price. It's just there's too much working against him to pay it.
Bats in this game, I can't do anything here.
No, there's no way you can take bats here.
Yeah, we both know I love the Dodgers bats and you love the Dodgers pitchers, but I just can't do it here against Fernandez.
No, it's not the spot for it.
It's the ultimate hedge stack, ultimate leverage stack, and Fernandez has been getting hit lately. I don't want to talk myself onto it, so we're gonna move on to Baltimore at Detroit. Kevin Gausman and Michael Fulmer, 2 pitchers with a little bit of upside here.
Yeah, I like Gausman more than I like Fulmer. But I'm not crazy about either today. I'm actually a little intrigued by the Baltimore offense more than I am either of these pitchers.
Okay. My issue is like we want Chris Davis to be in the lineup, right?
That would be pretty important, I think, which is not going to be guaranteed today.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what the lineup looks like. Like Trumbo could get a bump, but my eye would be on Pedro Alvarez getting a lineup bump.
That's what I was going to say. Like they've hit him second a few times lately, which is really interesting. And especially if Davis is out of the lineup, that wouldn't surprise me at all today to see him up there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting game. Like it's a really interesting game. So I'm interested what Baltimore bats you really like here.
It's more. I think I'd see them more as a stack, just
Okay.
because I don't see prices that are like jump off the page appealing. But I like their collective ability to do some damage against Fulmer. Like I think he's one of these guys that's a little overrated too. He throws to a really bad catcher. I think this is a pretty conducive hitting environment today, and so I'd be interested in them more as a stack as opposed to one-offs like I'd like with a team say like the Jays.
Yeah, I can get behind that. And then I really don't like Detroit here, but when we look at Gossman's numbers, like he's a lot worse against righties.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who I think I have him down as a little bit of a reverse splits guy.
Yeah, and like his issue this season has been home runs to right-handed bats. So like when we look at Detroit, hey, guess what? A lot of home run hitters in this lineup that are right-handed.
That is true. That is true. I think there's definitely some home run upside for these guys. Although I don't know, like I like Gausman as a pitcher, I really do, and I see some strikeout upside here. It's not as if these guys can't take him deep, and there are some pretty appealing prices, so I can almost see it both ways.
And I don't think this is a bad slate. There's like on FanDuel tonight, there's a super rally, $5 tournament, $25,000 first. Like if you're gonna play a few entries, go both sides. Have a Gossman lineup and have a Detroit stack.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I completely missed the Manny Machado price. When I said I didn't like any one-offs from Baltimore, Manny Machado is too cheap. 8,400 on draft, 4,300 on DraftKings. I can definitely see that for Machado.
Yeah, I was looking at JD Martinez and Trumbo, like both under 8K on draft.
Yeah, I like the Martinez price too.
And Justin Upton too, like another guy that's been him and I know you don't like hot streaks, but him and Jay Bruce are so streaky that when they're hitting home runs, they hit them in bunches, and then it takes like 3 weeks for them to do it again.
Yeah, Upton, I mean, his price has gone up, but I mean, I kind of view it as like Upton is finally hitting the way we always expected him to hit at the start of the year. So I mean, I like Upton as a hitter.
Yeah, he's done being a wuss. Let's be honest.
That's a good way to put it.
Exactly. New York Mets, Atlanta Braves, Julio Teheran against Robert Selman. Like I don't know much about this Selman guy.
Yeah, I've actually used Gesellman twice. He's been fine both times because he's been super cheap and in pretty solid matchups. Today, I don't think that matchup is very good. He's a below average pitcher. Righties against Atlanta, I'm not a big fan of. I don't know. I can't really see him being an option today.
I feel like you and I talk about that a lot. Atlanta, less than ideal to take right-handed pitching against them.
Yeah, it really is. Like they're much better against righties. Their strikeout rate is lower. Like it's just a bad play usually.
Tehran, he could be interesting. They haven't called up Tim Tebow yet, so he's going to be okay here. But if Tebow was in the lineup, he'd instantly be a bad play.
I mean, instantly you'd have to. I don't even know. Forget it.
What's your thoughts on Tehran here as a tournament option as an SP2?
I think he's interesting, but I think he's too expensive. Like, have we seen a price for Tehran this high? And I can't remember the last time I saw a price this high for him. So, like, I don't know, especially against a Mets team that's better against righties because they have so many quality lefties in there, like Granderson and Bruce and whoever. Like, I don't know, the strikeout upside isn't there against the Mets, and the price is too high for Tehran for me.
I feel like the price being high helps his tournament up because I don't see him being as popular.
I can definitely see that, but I do like I can see him as a tournament option, especially because of that. But I don't know. For me, it seems like a tournament pitcher. You want a guy who really has the potential to go out there and put up 10 strikeouts, and I just don't think that's there against the Mets.
Yeah, I think it also depends on what Mets lineup we get too.
That is going to have a lot to do with it, also.
All right, bats in this game. Anything really stand out to you here?
Nothing in particular, really. Like, Gesellman's not a good play against Atlanta, but it's not like you really love these bats anyway. Like, given the choice, you pick Freeman from Atlanta, but he's just too expensive today to really do that. So I don't know. I kind of see very little here that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I think Freeman would be the guy, right? Freeman and Cespedes?
Yeah. Freeman and Cespedes. The Cespedes price is better than Freeman's price, so I could maybe see him, but really we're just talking like a one-off in a GPP kind of thing. These aren't cash plays in my opinion.
No, not cash game plays at all. Royals taking on the White Sox in Chicago. Ventura against Rodon. Man, like I wanna play Rendon here.
Yeah, I can't do it. I don't think the strikeout upside is there against this Royals team, especially because they're going to roll out a bunch of righties, I think. So I'd have a hard time with it.
Like his issue has always been walks, like control, and like his last 4 games, he's really pitched well.
He has. I've actually played some hitters against him recently, and it hasn't always worked out. So he's been a little frustrating for me.
Yeah, I like him a lot more if Kane and Perez continue to be out of the lineup too.
That would definitely help.
Thoughts on Ventura here?
I want nothing to do with Ventura here.
I don't either, but my job is to ask these hard-hitting questions, okay?
That's true. Although, do you want your Dano Ventura? I don't know. Is hard hitting the way we would describe that? I mean, it's pretty much an automatic no matter who you ask, always.
I don't know. There's some people that might have interest at times.
All right, fair enough.
So I've been playing Morales a lot, and they finally raised up his price. I'm kind of sad.
Yeah, he was dirt cheap for a long time. Not the case anymore.
Yeah, he was man, he's hit value so much for me over the past week, and it's just one of those things where, all right, you work for me, the last 3 or 4 days, and I'm done with you. Looking at the Kansas City side, like this is a good ballpark bump for them, but where do we really go?
Yeah, see, a lot of the prices are too high for me. I'm pretty rarely on Kansas City hitters, but there are a couple guys that I'd be interested in given the right lineup. I think the Paolo Orlando and the Chesler Cuthbert price are both really nice. So if they're hitting 1 or 2, either of them or both of them, I would have interest there, especially since they can run a little bit, and Rodon is a guy that you can steal on. So I would have interest in them as kind of like puntier options.
Yeah, I want Cuthbert to be in that 2 spot. That's kind of where I was looking as well. I always pronounce this guy's name wrong, but Drew Bidiera, he's super cheap, and if Salvador Perez is out, he should be in there and has the platoon split.
I could see him being a viable punt.
Yeah, just catcher, punt. Hey, that's something that I do a lot and talk about a lot. Looking at the White Sox here, where are you at with the White Sox bats?
I don't have a ton of interest in the White Sox bats. You're not really getting anyone at a discount. And Ventura is not an awful pitcher. I mean, I was maybe a little too harsh before with him. I don't have interest in him, but I don't really think I think there's much better spots than the White Sox bats today.
Yeah, the only guy that I have interest in is Jose Abreu, and it's on sites like Fantasy Draft that you can play multiple first basemen. That's kind of the only spot that I would go here.
Yeah, he's a little more expensive than I'd want to pay for him, even though he is finally starting to hit, the way we want him to. But it is obviously easier to play him on draft where you have all that flexibility.
How is Ventura with holding on runners?
I believe he's pretty good at it. Let me check real quick.
Because, downgrade, obviously, if Perez is out, and Tim Anderson could be an interesting play.
Yeah, he's actually exceptionally good at preventing steals.
Well, there goes that. See, there was a reason we didn't talk about these guys.
That'll do it.
Cubs at Houston. Joe Musgrove against John Lester. Lester pique your interest here at all?
Lester piques my interest in GPPs for sure. I mean, it's tough going into the American League. It's tough facing a lineup that has a lot of good righties, but I mean, there's definitely strikeout upside here. It's a little bit of a park upgrade for him, especially with the roof closed. So I would have a little bit of Lester interest in the GPP.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you can make a case for it in GPPs. Like you said, when we look at Houston, they have decent numbers against lefties, Altuve, Springer, Gaddis, but look at the strikeout rates. Almost all of them over 19% outside of Altuve.
Yeah, and that's going to create upside.
That does create upside. Musgrove has been hit or miss since he got called up. He's been hit or miss for fantasy, and he's been hit or miss on the hill. I think this is a spot we can look at the bats.
Honestly, I'm intrigued by Musgrove.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. there's a chance he gets blown up again. He's I guess what is it, 3 starts in a row now. He's been not good. But I do kind of still like him as a pitcher. Like, I like his stuff. His minor league track record's really good. And while the Cubs are a dangerous offense, this is still an offense that strikes out a lot. And like I said, it's a good pitching environment. And he's cheap. So, like, I'm intrigued. I don't think he's safe, but he's interesting.
There's one problem with him today. Anthony Rizzo.
Anthony Rizzo could be a problem.
Not could be a problem. Anthony Rizzo's a problem.
All right. Anthony Rizzo's a problem.
I'm glad we agreed. I didn't persuade you at all there, at all.
No, it's Anthony Rizzo's really good at baseball.
Chris Bryant's really good at baseball, too.
He is really good at baseball, too. Damn it, maybe. No, but this isn't – if you're playing Musgrove, it's not because you think you're going to it's not because you think he's going to shut this team down. It's because you think he's going to get a bunch of strikeouts and hopefully prevent runs well enough at this price point.
Which he could do. I will say there's been a lot of times this year where the Cubs have been in good spots and they've just crapped the bed.
They have definitely done that more often than I would like them to.
Any Houston bats that you like here? I know not for cash games, but maybe for a tournament?
Yeah, I mean, for a tournament, like, you can make a case for a guy like Altuve. You can make a case for a lot of these guys, especially because they're going to be righties with the platoon advantage against Lester, and we know Lester struggles with steals, so, like, the Astros have some speed. You're not really getting much of a discount on your Altuves or your Springers, but they're going to have the potential to put up some points in different ways. Correa seems like the best priced of the trio. So I can see any of those 3 being a one-off.
All right, let's go to Minnesota, where we have Danny Salazar and Tyler Duffy. Any interest in Salazar in this matchup against Minnesota?
A little bit. They're, I don't know. Salazar, I think, is a really good pitcher. He was good his last start, but before that, he got rocked. He was having the injury issues. I don't know. He's a guy today where I'm just kind of on the fence about him. Like, I think Minnesota is better than people give him credit for. I don't think this is a great park, but it is a little bit of a park upgrade for him. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. I think he's in play for GPPs, but that's about it.
No, I think he's a really good option for tournaments. That's kind of where we've been at a lot on these pitchers today. But just generally looking at the slate, it's really more of a tournament slate in my opinion. A lot of high upside guys. Salazar, another one of those guys. Outside of Dozier, like, there's a lot of strikeouts to be had in this lineup, and man, Brian Dozier is something else right now. Tyler Duffy on the other side here. He doesn't pique my interest whatsoever.
No, he doesn't pique my interest at all either.
I like targeting Cleveland at home, but I really don't hate him in this matchup against Duffy. I think it's the same suspects as it always is. It's Kipnis, it's Santana, it's Lindor, and don't ever think about forgetting Jose Ramirez.
Yeah. I don't think I've played – no, I might have played him once this year. I know you love him, but I don't know. I'm not buying into him.
A guy that's hitting 308 and always gets on base. I feel like you should be playing him more than me.
I mean, he's hitting 308, but isn't his BABIP like, I don't know, like 390 or something crazy? Like, I just have a hard time playing guys like that because I'm constantly expecting it to stop. Actually,
No,
it's not that high.
I was gonna say I didn't think it was that high anymore. It
No.
was in the middle of the season.
Yeah, no, it's come down since then.
Yeah, less than 10% strikeout rate. Like I'm telling you, this guy is like screaming cash games. I figured like this would be your guy.
I'm not your typical cash game player though. Like I don't play like the safety cash game guys. Like I play the power guys because in the long run they tend to be the better hitters. So guys like Ramirez aren't usually on my radar enough because they're not good enough hitters really. Like they don't have that same type of upside and value that I don't know.
Yeah, I have a lot of interest in Carlos Santana if he continues to hit leadoff. Like it's a steal, especially on the road. Like to get a first baseman with power in the leadoff spot, possibly getting 5 at bats. I love that value.
Yeah, he's a little pricier than I would want, but I do love him as a leadoff hitter.
Any Twins bats that you like here?
Not really. I mean, the Jorge Polanco price is interesting, but this really isn't an ideal matchup for them. So not really.
All right, Milwaukee at St. Louis, Carlos Martinez, Jimmy Nelson. I feel like we're going to have the same opinion on Carlos Martinez here.
Carlos Martinez is, if not the top option of the night, one of them, and he's the pretty clear cash game option in my mind.
We have the same thought on Carlos Martinez. Like, we just seen this matchup 2 games ago, and he had 13 strikeouts against the Brewers lineup, and it's, pretty much top to bottom. I don't know if Santana was back then or not, but the same lineup, and hey, guess what? Milwaukee strikes out a lot against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, they do, and this game is in a better park. Like during that game, they showed Martinez's career numbers against the Brewers, and they were like insane. I don't really put a lot of credence into that, but he profiles really well against this offense because he's a strikeout guy. It's a strikeout team. It's a lot of righties. He's really good against righties. There's a bunch of ground ball hitters in the lineup that he can dominate because he's a bit of a ground ball pitcher. So, he profiles really well.
Oh, so you mean in 80 at-bats, he's only given up 18 hits, only 4 extra base hits, 0 home runs, 37 strikeouts against the current Milwaukee batters. Just saying, the BVP might be there for him.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't surprise me that it's that way because that's what it should be. He profiles so well against this team.
For one time, we agree that is what it should be. Carlos Martinez against this right-handed heavy lineup. As far as pitching on the slate goes against righties, only Kershaw has a better WOBA against righties than Carlos Martinez. He has a 227 WOBA with a 25.5% strikeout rate against righties this season.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, so better than Jose Fernandez.
That is really insane.
Yeah, soft contact rate 23.5. Carlos Martinez against the right-handed heavy lineup, he should dominate them.
Yes, doesn't mean he will because it's baseball, but he's definitely the guy that you have to play in your cash games today.
Oh, Jimmy Nelson on the other side of this game, though. There's too many lefties in this Cardinals lineup to look at Nelson.
Yeah, I have no interest in Nelson whatsoever.
Oh, I feel like I always talk about the Cardinals, and I always want to stack the Cardinals, and I want to stack the Cardinals again tonight. I want Carpenter. I want Moss. I want Grichuk. It's just all these guys. Jerko has been crushing the baseball this year, which is crazy. But I love these guys in this matchup.
Yeah, I do too. I'm a big fan of St. Louis today. What I'm really kind of hoping for, and it doesn't happen very often, but a Colton Wong leadoff spot appearance would be really nice because Nelson's a guy that is so exploitable in terms of steals, and Wong's a good cheap guy at a scarce position to have that kind of upside with.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I doubt it happens because of Carpenter, but maybe a Wong in the 2 spot.
That would be nice.
I think that's more feasible than the 1 spot. I want nothing to do with the Brewers bats here.
No, nothing to do with the Brewers bats. You kind of mentioned Moss in passing, but Moss's price today is so cheap. Moss looks like Moss looks like a great play today because he kills righties. Nelson's so bad against lefties. It's kind of the perfect meshing of their splits.
Yeah. And the one thing that I love about Moss on DraftKings is you get a first baseman in the outfield.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, San Francisco heading to Arizona. Madison Bumgarner against Ruby De La Rosa. That's a name we haven't been able to talk about in a while.
Yes, it is. We have not talked about Ruby in quite some time.
Oh, Ruby. What's your thoughts here on Bumgarner against the Diamondbacks?
I'm intrigued for GPPs. I think people might be scared off because of the park, because they're so right-handed, but Bumgarner's a really good pitcher. The roof will be closed, and there's huge strikeout upside here. So I'm intrigued. And plus, I mean, you'd have to think he's going to be a really, really strong favorite for the win because I have the Giants as one of the top two offenses of the whole night.
Yeah, we're on the same page with the Giants. I can't get behind Bumgarner here. I don't like taking lefties. I don't care who it is in Chase Field against the Diamondbacks because when we look at them, they profile really well against lefties. They have Goldschmidt, they have Tomas, they have Ricky Weeks Jr. of all people. Yeah, and Pollock's back, like you just said. So I worry. Would it shock me if Bumgarner goes out and has a great game? No, but I feel like we have better positions on this slate where you can take a Fernandez, and I think I would take Kershaw before I take Bumgarner here.
I like Fernandez and Kershaw both more than I like Bumgarner. It's another one of those matchups where even though this is an ace, I'm not expecting him to go out there and shut them down and prevent runs. I like the strikeout upside.
Yeah, I can get behind that, but I feel like if you're going to play Bumgarner, you better have an Arizona stack too. I won a tournament with an Arizona stack against Bumgarner last year.
Did you?
Yes, on DraftKings, the $27 tournament.
Was it in Chase or AT&T?
It was in Chase.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't like this Chase Field stuff for Bumgarner.
I mean, it's a really good park for hitting. It wouldn't surprise me if he struggles.
Now you got me thinking. I wonder if it was in Chase. I don't remember. That's so long ago.
I mean, it would be even more impressive if it wasn't.
I think Goldschmidt had a home run and Beef had a home run that game. It was just a good game in general. I think Aaron Hill had a home run. But anyway, looking at the Giants bats here, Brandon Belt, Hunter Pence, Brandon Crawford, Buster Posey, Nunez, Span, all these guys in play here.
Yeah, they're all in play. Like they're very well priced. Like I said, this is right now I have this as the top offense of the night. It's very close between the Giants and the Nationals. So I mean, this is it's a great play, and you're getting such crazy discounts.
Yeah, I had Brandon Belt as my second fantasy draft play today. I know it's two first basemen, but you can play E5 and you can play Belt both under 8K on draft and use up some of those infield spots. It's just good spots for these guys.
Yeah, there's some really good prices on first baseman today. It's going to be tough to decide which way I'm going to wind up going.
Yeah, the good thing about draft, though, you can play 5 of them.
That is very nice because then you don't have to make that tough decision.
Arizona, we talked about them a little bit, but AJ Pollock is really cheap today.
I did not notice his price. Where is he?
$3K on DraftKings.
That's why I didn't notice it because he's so cheap. Wow. That's crazy.
That's crazy. And he's been hitting the ball a lot better after his first couple games.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Pollock in general. Like, he's a very, very talented hitter. So, I mean, at that price, I wouldn't argue with you on it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can argue that price. Tomas is cheap, too, if you want some upside there. I don't mind that as well.
I could see that. More as a tournament guy. I mean, like you said, there's a bunch of righties against the lefty. There's the potential for some home runs in this game. I mean, Goldschmidt's price is nice too.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like you could get a game stack going here and have some really good pitching with it.
You could.
All right, moving on to the West Coast games. The last 3 games of the night, we have Texas at Los Angeles taking on the Angels. Darvish against Tyler Skaggs. Darvish has a lot of upside in this game.
Yeah, and he's surprisingly inexpensive. I don't quite understand this price. Like, I don't usually love hitters against the Angels because they don't tend to strike out a lot. But Darvish comes with so many to begin with. Like, it's a nice park boost for him. It's not a good offense. So at that price, I'm really intrigued. Like, I'd almost be tempted to pair Darvish with Carmart and pay a little more at my second starter just because this just seems too cheap for him.
Yeah, anytime you get Darvish under 10K, you instantly you gravitate to the price.
Yeah.
Tyler Skaggs, on the other hand, no thank you.
I actually kind of like him for tournament.
No.
Yes, Tyler Skaggs isn't a bad pitcher. Like, he got rocked his first few starts up, but this is a guy who is an above-average pitcher. He's at home in LA. It's a good park. He's facing a Texas team on the road that is worse against lefties. Like, I do see a little bit of reason to like Skaggs today.
All right, well, you can't sell me. Hopefully, you might have sold one listener, just one, and they'll play the Skaggs, and I'll get a tweet later, hey, Stevie, why didn't you play Skaggs? And I'm going to be like, yeah, well.
That is always the way.
That is how it happens all the time. And the reason I don't really like Skaggs is because I like Carlos Beltran and Adrian Beltre in this game.
I mean, I don't dislike them. I think they're more expensive. Beltre in particular, more expensive than I'd want to pay in this park. But I don't know. Like, I like Skaggs as a pitcher. I do.
Well, we can't agree on everything. DeShields has been hitting leadoff with the lefty on the hill. If he's in the leadoff spot, he's really cheap. I don't hate him as well.
Yeah, let me. What does Skaggs do with steals? For some reason, I think he's really good at preventing them. I could be wrong. Oh no, I'm wrong. He's neutral-ish. So yeah, I mean, I don't dislike DeShields, but I think I'm more on Skaggs than I am on Texas bats.
I can definitely get behind a Mike Trout one-off, but that's kind of the only spot that I would go with the Angels bats.
Yeah, it's funny. You're not getting any kind of discount on Trout against Darvish, like zero. But
because he got the BVP against Darvish.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, you got to factor that in.
I was not factoring it in. My bad. But Darvish is terrible at preventing steals. So I mean, if Trout is getting hits and getting on base against him, there's ways he can run up his point total.
Hey, it's 4 stolen bases against him too.
Well, there you go. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, Seattle at Oakland. Daniel Medchin against Iacuma. Talk me off of Iacuma here, please, because there's a good chance that I play him a lot.
I mean, I like Iwakuma in general. I don't hate him today, but I also don't see a ton of upside. Like, this is a park that suppresses strikeouts. It's an offense that doesn't strike out that much. So, yeah, he'll probably prevent runs, but I don't see the upside here. So as a GPP guy, I don't know. I don't really see the appeal for you.
I'm streaming pitchers against Oakland the rest of the season. Look at his price. It's too cheap.
I didn't notice the price. That is very cheap.
Yeah, it's just like, give me him and Carlos Martinez and I'm set.
I'm all about righties in particular against Oakland, but I like them in different parks than O.co.
And I get that. You talk about that suppressing the ball or suppressing the strikeouts all the time. And yeah, I get that. Huge foul grounds. Oakland sucks, man. They're so bad.
They're really not very good.
I'm surprised they haven't called me yet. Like, I could play left field for them. Medchin on the other side of this game, any interest there?
No, zero interest.
Well, like I said, I have to ask,
Hard-hitting questions. Now, but you're not going to try to tell me that some people would give you a yes on that one, are you?
No, because he struggles with lefties, and hey, guess what? Seattle has a bunch of lefties.
Yeah, they do. Bunch of good lefties.
Yeah, man, like I struggle between this because I want the fantasy draft play to come out of this game, and I just feel like Nelson Cruz is just too cheap.
Nelson Cruz is very cheap.
I debated between him and Seth Smith, but for the $800 difference, I'd just rather play Cruz.
I'm with you. I would prefer Cruz too. That's a nice price on him.
Yeah, you're not going to see Nelson Cruz many times under 8K. And, whether people want to believe it or not, Nelson Cruz is good against righties too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Nelson Cruz is completely fine against lefty or against righties.
Yeah, we knew what you meant. He still has 20 home runs against righties this season, just for people that are keeping count at home.
I can get behind that.
Adam Lynn has a sneaky 19 home runs against righties this season too, and he's cheap.
He's cheap-ish. He's more, I think, of an option on a site like Fantasy Draft where you can play those multiple first basemen. Today, I think there's too many really good first basemen that are underpriced to really consider him at all on DraftKings.
Yeah, you can't play him on DraftKings, but I think you can definitely play him. I think today's a day you could play 5 first basemen on draft.
I would think so too. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of really good underpriced first basemen today.
Any athletics that you like here? I have to ask.
Not really. I mean, like I said, like I kind of like Iwakuma today. I don't see a whole lot of A's that I'd be interested in. If you're gonna take a one-off, it's gonna be Chris Davis because that's what you do, or maybe Stephen Vogt because he's catcher, but that would be about it.
Every day, Chris Davis is a one-off.
You know what? Maybe Marcus Semien too if he's leading off. I mean, his price is always just too cheap. It really is. It's not the best spot for him, but a shortstop for 2,900 on DraftKings, like there has to be some level of interest there.
Colorado at San Diego. We have Tyler Chatwood, Luis Perdomo. I think Chatwood's really interesting here.
I don't dislike Chatwood here. I'm not a big fan of his in general, but you know he's on the road. He's away from Coors. He's facing this weak San Diego Padres team. It's a good park. He has the ground ball, fly ball advantage against a lot of them. So he's interesting to me.
Yeah, massive ground ball guy. 6 or 7 innings. Just decent baseball here, and San Diego always presents strikeout upside.
Yeah, strikeout upside, and you run down this lineup like we mentioned. He's an extreme ground ball guy, like Jankowski and Jay and Sardinas, and you know the pitcher. Like there's a lot of ground ball guys here that you know ground ball versus ground ball tends to really favor the pitcher. So it's interesting.
Yeah, Jankowski. You know you can keep going. Solarte has over 40%. Like. You're selling me even more here on Chatwood as a guy that might be interesting.
I can definitely see it in a GPP. He's not quite cash game viable, but for GPPs, he's interesting.
Perdomo, 368 WOBA, 40% hard contact rate to lefties this season. It's still only 53 innings, but those numbers are not good.
Yeah, they're not. I don't know. Perdomo, he doesn't really do it for me.
I think that in 2 or 3 seasons, we'll be talking about this guy. He's 23 right now. He's going through some struggles, and I think he's better than what he's showing.
I completely agree. I think there's a lot of untapped talent here. Like the stuff is good. There's plenty of upside. You know, there's a lot to dream on, as scouts would say. Like this is a guy that in a couple of years he's going to be good, but we knew he was not ready right now. Like they plucked him out of the Rule 5 draft. They had to keep him on the roster. They're out of contention, so they're like, all right, let's let him start. So, I mean, this is kind of what we should expect of him now, but there's definite long-term upside.
Looking at the Colorado bats, another team like David Dahl, 8K, Carlos Gonzalez, 8K, not the greatest ballpark, but you get these guys, you can build a lineup on Fantasy Draft today of just 8K guys.
Yeah, you can. Like Cargo's price is right around there. I can see them potentially being options.
Yeah, I don't even hate Nolan Arenado at 9,200.
A little more expensive than I think I would want, but I don't hate it.
San Diego bats, anything that you like here against Chatwood?
Not really, because a lot of the guys you like are, you know, that ground ball versus ground ball, and Chatwood's not a guy I don't think that you can really run on. So, I mean, that's the appeal of a lot of the San Diego bats at the top of the lineup, like Jankowski or, you know, whoever. So, I see not a whole lot to like here, really. Maybe like a Ryan Schimpf one-off on a site like FanDuel where his price is nice, but that's about it.
I was waiting. I'm just sitting here going, is he going to mention Schimpf? Am I going to get to mention Schimpf on a podcast that I'm doing with Derek? Like, yeah, I got excited there.
I love Schimpf. His price on DraftKings and Fantasy Draft anymore is just too expensive, but FanDuel, he's still very reasonable.
Yeah, the one thing that I like about him here, we talk about ground ball, fly ball. Schimpf's a fly ball hitter. This should actually help him here.
Yeah, he's one of the few fly ball hitters in this lineup, and that is going to benefit him today.
I'm really quickly trying to pull up what he's done against ground ball pitchers this year.
Yeah, really curious. Yeah, I mean, the sample is going to be small, I would imagine, but it's probably, I would think, going to be pretty good.
Ground ball pitchers, he's hitting. He's much better against average, but fly ball pitchers he sucks, and ground ball pitchers he's okay. 931 OPS is what I like to see.
Okay. Yeah,
So
so I like Shimp today.
yeah, I can definitely get behind Shimp as well, as a one-off. That's going to wrap it up here. 15 games done, and nobody knew about our mic issues before the podcast. So it's a great day, and it's fun. But it's time to play some home run derby. There's no Coors Field, so everything's open tonight for your first pick.
Nice, but then I don't have anything that I can like try to slip in there and cheat with.
Never going to happen again.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with. There's some good ones today. I'm gonna go with David Ortiz first.
I feel like this is just the co-hosts of this podcast just get together and say, "Hey, we're taking Ortiz against Stevie first pick." I'm gonna go Brandon Moss.
I like that call. I'm gonna go Bryce Harper.
All right. There's no way I'm not taking Dozier right now.
All right. I can see it. I am a big Dozier fan. So here I'm torn. I'm gonna go off the board a little bit. I'm gonna go with E5 against Porcello.
Yeah, I like that. Mine is probably one of the crazier ones I've had all year, but it's Paul Goldschmidt.
I don't hate that. I really don't. I think Bumgarner is going to be better than people credit him for today, but especially a guy like Goldschmidt, he could definitely take him deep.
At the end of the day, if you had to pick one pitcher not named Martinez, Darvish, Lester, Bumgarner, Kershaw, or Fernandez to pick up a win on – doesn't have to score the most fantasy points, but going to win, who do you have here?
That is quite the list, but I think the answer is a very obvious Tanner Roark. Against the Phillies, the Nationals are going to put up a bunch of runs on Thompson. I think he's one of the biggest favorites of the day, bigger than a lot of those aces.
Yeah, I feel like my pick's easy too. It's Iacuma. I think that he wins with no issues today.
I think he has a very strong chance of winning. I like that call.
Yeah. I just keep going back to the well. I'm going to have so much of him. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for the Friday edition. We're heading to Nashville to do the Roto-Grinders opening weekend party. Hope everybody has a great opening weekend of football. And like I said on the podcast yesterday, bankroll management. I know you're excited about week one, but bankroll management. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Derek?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all.
All right, that's going to do it here for Friday. We'll be back on Monday. Good luck in your contest tonight and this weekend, and we'll see you then.